All right, let's answer some questions. Our good friend A Red Zone Alk, who's been asking questions all the way back to when PFT Live was a digital-only project on NBCSports.com. Is Joe Burrow's biggest obstacle to success the Bengals organization itself? Also, will A.J. Green be traded, and who would want him? Charean, your thoughts?
Well, the Bengals haven't won a playoff game, as just about everybody knows, since 1990. It was over the Houston Oilers, who no longer exist. They're now the Tennessee Titans. Sam Weish was the late, great Sam Weish was the coach, and Anthony Munoz still played, and, all those things. It's been a really long time. Esiason was their quarterback. So it is the Bengals organization. They haven't been very good since 1990, and they continually do bad things. But they looked like they had done some different things before this season. They signed some free agents. They spent some money. They made the right pick at #1 overall. So they looked like they were moving in the right direction. I don't know who would want A.J. Green. If they can get anything for him, absolutely, I think you trade him. But to me, last night, he just looked old. I mean, to get that many targets, I think it was 13 targets, and make that few catches, 3 catches for 29 yards, 9.7 a catch. To me, he just looked old. I don't know who would want to pay him the money with the franchise tag on him, no guarantee beyond the season. If they can get anything for him, absolutely, I say you trade him at the trade deadline.
Yeah, and I don't know who's going to want to pay him the balance of a salary that's based on $18 million for the full season, over $1 million a game. I just think that the ship has sailed. I feel bad saying that. A.J. Green's a great guy. He's been a great player. And, during the summer, when the July 15 deadline came and went, I raised the question, would the Bengals rescind the franchise tender, pocket $18 million in cash in a pandemic year where the revenue is going to be way down, and carry over $18 million in cap space for next year, because that's what you can do like that? And a day after we raised that idea, he signed his franchise tender, because once you sign it, it can't be taken away. Smartest business decision he ever made was to sign it, because you have to think that the Bengals were considering the possibility of removing it. And I think in hindsight, based on 2 games, they may be wishing they hadn't tagged him at all and let him walk away as a free agent. And, yeah, if you can trade him, you trade him. And if he stays healthy, you see what's out there. But who's going to take on the balance of that salary? And it may be a situation where it's a Yannick Ngakoue type of a deal, where he reduces his remaining salary to facilitate a trade to a contending team for the balance of the year. All right, next question. Oh, and let me chime in on whether or not Joe Burrow's biggest obstacle is the organization itself. I don't necessarily believe that. I think they're changing. I think when they paid Joe Mixon market value with a year left on his rookie contract, that was a sign that things are going to be different. When they didn't waver in their opportunity to get Joe Burrow, that's a sign that things are going to be different. And I'm hopeful that they will build out a team around him so he can be successful, because he definitely has the ability. He's got the drive. He's got the charisma. He's got it all to be something that they haven't had in Cincinnati in a very, very long time. All right, Dr. J 144. Zac Taylor is 2-16 as a head coach. He bungled the Andy Dalton benching last year, kicked a field goal last night in 4th and goal to cut it from 15 to 12. Zac didn't deserve the job to begin with, in my opinion. Eric Bieniemy deserved the job more than him, and that makes me sad. Agree or disagree? Charean, your thoughts?
I think Eric Bieniemy has deserved a job for a couple of years that he hasn't gotten, and I think he'll be a great head coach when he does get a job, which I would assume would be in 2021, but I thought it would be in 2020, and it didn't happen for him. But I'm not ready to write off Zac Taylor yet. I just think he's learning to be a head coach, and he wasn't even an offensive coordinator with the Rams. And I think he learned a lot from McVay. I still think he can be a great offensive mind. He started his coaching career at A&M, and I know a lot of people who know him and think really highly of him as an offensive coach and think he can be really good. So I'm not ready to write him off now. Bieniemy might have been the better coach, the better choice. And I hope he gets a head coaching job because he's earned it, but I'm not ready to write off Zac Taylor just yet.
And here's the other thing to remember about the Bengals, which there's no indication that it has changed. They don't like to buy people out. They don't like to have to pay someone to not work for them. So whatever years of Zac Taylor's contract is guaranteed, that, I guarantee you, means he will be there for that. That's why the Marvin Lewis firing was a surprise until we found out 2019 wasn't guaranteed, so they could walk away and not owe him anything, but they don't like to pay their head coaches to not work. So he gets some time, he's got some flexibility, but he's going to have to do something or a second contract is not going to happen. And yeah, let's see what happens. With Joe, a great quarterback can make a 2-14 coach into a much better coach very quickly once you have that guy on the field and he starts winning games for you. All right, another one from the @PFT PM Posse account, and this comes via the PFT PM Posse account. It originates with @NFL Leads. Since there are no fans attending games, what's the point of singing a national anthem to an empty stadium when most of the players have to make a decision of standing or kneeling? And look, I have wondered that all along. The moment that they said there weren't going to be fans at these games, what's the point of starting a game with any type of formality? You're showing up to play a game and no one is there to witness it. They rarely play the anthem on TV, and the only way that they play it now is for the news value of what the guys are doing during the anthem. I wouldn't have a problem at all with not playing the anthem before the games. And so many of the problems we've dealt with the past few years, we wouldn't have dealt with if they just didn't have this ritual of playing the national anthem before these sporting events. There's so many things we do as a country that don't require the playing of the national anthem before we do it. It's just kind of odd that it became part of sports. And that's what's led us to this point where it becomes now this controversy that just won't go away.
Mike, before we ever started this controversy, before Colin Kaepernick ever sat down on the bench in 2016, I wondered why we played the anthem. And I asked it multiple times, and I don't know how it started, but you go to a play, you go to a movie, wherever, whatever we go to, we don't start it with the national anthem. And I know it's a big deal at the Super Bowl. Who's going to sing the national anthem? And we still think of Whitney Houston singing the national anthem. It was beautiful, even if it was on tape, whatever. It was still great. But to me, there's no point to it. I don't know how it started. I don't care if we play it or don't play it. I don't think it's a thing of patriotism. Nobody's going to miss it if you don't play it. And I love what they did, by the way, last night. It was Bengal Brown, and they locked arms, and I thought that was really cool. But again, I'm not going to miss the national anthem if we don't have the national anthem.
And look, I get it for the Olympics when the country that wins the gold medal has its anthem played. It's part of the pride. It's part of the notion that it's a bunch of different nations there, and whoever wins gets that honor. We really don't need it. And they say it's political when people kneel or put a fist in the air during the anthem. The mere playing of the anthem is a political exercise. It is an exercise in forced patriotism. Look, we all love our country. We don't need to go through the motions of that before every sporting event. So that got caught up in football, and I think it's too late to try to extricate it. If they're going to play it in an empty stadium, they're never going to stop playing it before football games or other sporting events, Charean.
Yeah, now it is really political. Now you can't stop it because you have started it during these protests. So we will have it, empty stadium or not.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.